a jealous boyfriend with a history of violence, kills in cold blood and gets away with it.
There's no doubt in my mind Michael Alfonso is a psychopath.
7 years later, he kills again, unloading his pistol in front of dozens of witnesses.
It's just that I just snapped a few times in my life.
A fugitive on the run.
In this case, it wasn't a whodunit. It was a where is he?
He disappears into the jungles of Central America, leading police on an international manhunt. Criminals sometimes try to escape from justice. This is the story of how one man almost got away with it. It's a warm night in the Chicago suburb of Wheaton, Illinois. 23-year-old Souvenir Yang is about to end her short-lived affair with Michael Alfonso. By the summer of 1992, Yang is separated from her husband and living alone with their young son.
This is not going to change.
Yang wants to get back together with her husband. Despite being pregnant with Alfonso's child, she decides to break up with him.
You're the one being dumb about it, you understand me?
No, I've made my decision.
I got angry with her because she said that she wanted to break up with me and go back to her husband.
Oh, I just don't want to do.
On the night of August 31st, Yang agrees to see Alfonso one last time.
Look, get your clothes on. I'm coming over right now.
Okay, fine.
They meet outside her apartment. He convinces her to go for a drive. Yang explains how she wants to work things out with her husband. She plans to abort Alfonso's child. Alfonso implores Yang to stay with him and to keep the child. She's already decided, though, it's over between them.
She goes, this is going to be the last time I talk to you, and this and that. And the thing is, I was driving the car, and she was in the passenger seat. What happened was, I took out the gun and stuff. And I told her, no, I don't think you're going to leave me. I told her, you're not going to leave me.
We are over. We are over.
You're going to listen to me now. That's what you're going to listen
Michael Alfonso won't take no for an answer. Yang tries to calm him down. As far as Alfonso is concerned, if he can't have her, no one can.
Max, what happened to the top girl now, huh? You ready to say goodbye?
He murders her in cold blood and drives off. On the morning of September 1st, 1992, Yang's mother reports her daughter missing. Detective David Sedan is in charge of finding the missing woman. He's a 16-year veteran of the Wheaton Police Department. Police begin the investigation. They conduct dozens of interviews and quickly learn that Yang was dating Michael Alfonso at the time of her disappearance. They also learn that Michael Alfonso was the last person to see Yang alive.
My partner and I went out to talk to him, and one of the things he told us, and I'll never forget this, and I said, Michael, how did you know Sue Yang? And he said, she was my girlfriend. Hence the word, she was my girlfriend.
Alfonso is the prime suspect in Yang's murder, but there's little evidence to prove his guilt.
I knew they weren't going to catch me, you know what I'm saying? I mean, despite them coming to my house all the time and wanting to search my house and search my car and stuff, but I was like, man, you don't have anything on me, you know what I mean? And they didn't.
On November 18th, 1992, 2 months after Yang's disappearance, police find her car in a vacant lot at the edge of town. It's been consumed in a fire. A few weeks later, hikers discover Yang's skeletal remains in the woods of a state park 38 miles from her home. Her skull indicates a single gunshot wound to the head.
There was very little physical evidence they can get from that. There had been a 2-month delay between the time she disappeared and the time they found her.
The police are doing all they can to prove that Michael Alfonso murdered Souvenir Yang. Despite their efforts, Alfonso is still free.
It was very frustrating for the detectives. I knew them well, and I know it was always something that they continued to work. It was never a cold case. It was always an active investigation. They weren't forgetting about Soo-min Yang, not by a long shot.
He was in love with her. There's no doubt about that. And when she broke it off, and especially threatened to abort the baby, he just became infuriated. And he felt that killing her would satisfy his rage.
Alfonso believes that he's gotten away with murder. For him, this has just been another chapter in a long line of violent crimes against women. By the time of Yang's murder, Detective Zidane already knows Alfonso all too well. 3 years earlier, Zidane arrested Alfonso for the gang rape of a 17-year-old girl.
We all knew that the propensity of this man to commit more violence against women was very high. And we got to get this guy off the street.
What's up?
What are you doing here? What is that?
In 1994, Alfonso strikes again. He gets in a fight with his new girlfriend. And brutally stabs her. She survives, and Alfonso goes to prison for 4 years. In 1998, he is released for a few short months before being arrested again. This time, it's for criminal sexual abuse. He's displaying a dangerous pattern of violence, with no end in sight.
He had left a lot of violence in his wake. In several counties, we found women who had survived his sexual violence.
There's no doubt in my mind Michael Alfonso is a psychopath. There's so much turmoil in that man's life, and he only has the ability to care about himself.
It's been 9 years since the murder of Soo-min Yang. And by the summer of 2001, Alfonso continues to live in his hometown of Wheaton, Illinois. He's working nights at a warehouse where he becomes involved with another married woman. Her name is Genoveva Velasquez.
Yeah, she was a really great person. She was like a mom to me because she was my older sister and I was the younger one. She always wanted to give us the best.
She worked 2 jobs to make ends meet, and she was in a period of transition.
Heno, as her friends call her, has no idea of Alfonso's criminal past or of his propensity for violence.
You sometimes talk to people you don't know. You don't know their background. Yes, that's, the danger we all face when we go out there.
Heno was a good woman. She was very family loyal. And although she was having some strange issues with her husband, they were working out those issues.
By June 5th, 2001, Genoveva and Alfonso have been dating for a few months. She tells him that it's over between them. She wants to reconcile with her husband. Facing rejection once again, Alfonso becomes enraged.
Let go! Let go! Let go!
He threatens both Genoveva and her family.
You? Touch me again.
No!
You,
Let go of me!
your whole family, and your 2 kids. You got that?
Genoveva is terrified and calls the police.
She did not want Michael Alfonso to be contacted, and that was over the objection of the police department.
I need to talk to him. He's ready to kill my children.
But she was afraid that if we had contacted him, that it would enrage him further, and she was truly afraid. So there was an extra patrol on her house.
Alfonso stays up all night, drinking, doing drugs, and obsessing over the breakup.
I was drinking a lot of beer, and then it was in the morning time, and I knew she had to go to work at 8 o'clock. Then I said, I'm going to do this.
The next morning, Genoveva Velasquez drops her 9-year-old daughter off at school and heads to work. When she arrives, Alfonso is waiting for her. Still drunk, high on drugs, and full of rage, Alfonso stalks Heno as she arrives. Armed with a .357 Magnum, a brutally powerful weapon, he ignores the dozens of witnesses in the drive-through line. He approaches Genoveva and aims to kill. Michael Alfonso has gotten away with the 1992 murder of his former girlfriend. Police suspect him, but he's never charged. 9 years later, a similar situation is unfolding as he stalks his current girlfriend.
And I pulled out the gun. And I just unloaded the whole chamber.
On the morning of June 6, 2001, Michael Alfonso brutally murders Genoveva Velasquez, then flees the scene as dozens of witnesses watch in horror.
One of the witnesses at the McDonald's was waiting through the drive-thru, and she was sitting in her car, and she saw Michael Alfonso run by her car just after she heard the gunshots, and she said that this guy had a smirk on his face. He was actually smirking.
Genoveva's husband works at the restaurant as well, and he's on break as the shots ring out.
When he heard the shots, he actually ran to where he heard the gunshots, and he saw his wife lying on the ground, and he was absolutely overcome with grief. They were estranged, but they still had a child together, they still worked with each other, and they still lived with each other. There was no doubt it was very hard on him.
It happened at 8:30 in the morning when people are going through the drive-thru to get their morning coffee on their way to work. Nobody expected this to happen.
Police arrive minutes after the murder, with reporters following close behind.
Patrick was shot down by her
Early on, we didn't know what we had. We just knew there was a shooting at the McDonald's. So we weren't sure, was it a random robbery gone bad, or was it a gun-toting crazy person who just walked into a random McDonald's and opened fire?
There's a killer on the loose, and the public is fearful. Police work to control the situation.
It was absolute pandemonium, yellow police tape, squad cars, ambulances. It was just absolute chaos.
Officers informed detectives at Dan of Alfonso's threats to Genoveva the night before.
I said, Michael Alfonso, what does he have to do with this? And I was advised that they were dating. I went, oh no. We gotta go find Michael Alfonso. And he was nowhere to be found.
Despite Genoveva's fears and the warning she gave police, this tragedy wasn't avoided.
That was a hard one to swallow. When a woman comes to the police and says, I'm afraid. This guy threatened to kill me, and I want protection. And 8 hours later, she's dead. That was just the hardest thing in the world to swallow. So did that one slip through the cracks? It sure did.
Witnesses positively identify Michael Alfonso as the man who shot Genoveva Velasquez. The police step up their hunt for him, now that they are certain he's the killer.
We went to his employment, we got work records, search warrant at his home, search warrant for his car if we could find it. And suddenly we started learning information.
Investigators searched the crime scene and soon hit the jackpot, finding a revolver stashed in a sewer drain nearby.
And that gun ballistically matched to the bullets that killed Heno. So it was obvious that he ran from the McDonald's. He had parked his black Pontiac in an apartment parking lot, tossed the gun in a sewer, and took off.
For investigators, the evidence is lining up, and the events of that fateful morning are becoming clear.
In the beginning of this case, the investigation was primarily focused on developing evidence to determine the identity of the shooter. and that evidence pointed at Michael Alfonso.
Authorities issue an arrest warrant for Michael Alfonso, charging him with the first-degree murder of Genoveva Velasquez.
When we got the arrest warrant for Michael Alfonso, the face of the investigation changed from identify the killer to now find the fugitive.
Alfonso knows the police are hunting him. He's fluent in Spanish. His plan is to escape to Mexico. He's been in and out of prison most of his life. He's determined not to go back.
I've been to the joint 3 times, and you learn each time from your mistakes, you know what I mean? You learn the right way and the wrong way to do things.
His first step is to confuse the police. He drives his car to the Indianapolis airport and leaves it there. Then, he spends the last of his cash on a bus ticket to Miami. 2 days after the murder, Alfonso arrives in Miami. He gets nervous and can't stay there long.
I was always in a paranoid state, pretty much. You can't imagine the fear, you know? When you're out in the street, you like, everybody's like suspect, you know what I mean? This could be a undercover, you know what I mean? If some person follows you too long, you're thinking that this is a police, you know what I'm saying?
Alfonso hitchhikes west to the border town of El Paso, Texas. From there, he can cross into Mexico and start a new life.
I took a cab across the border, and they didn't ask me for any identification or anything, you know what I mean? And when I got to the other side, I took a bus to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
In late June 2001, Michael Alfonso arrives in Puerto Vallarta. He's only been on the run for about a month, but already he's beginning to regret his actions.
I wish I would have never killed anybody, to be honest with you, but more so too, I wish I would have thought more. I wish I would have learned a lesson from the first one and not did the second one, you know what I mean?
He roams around this popular tourist destination, out of money and desperately looking for work.
I was walking along the beach, going to different businesses, asking, do you have work? You know, do you have work for me? I need work.
His desperate search pays off, and Alfonso finds work as a bartender, serving unsuspecting tourists. He's settling into a new life far from home. Back in Wheaton, Illinois, police continue their investigation. They know that Alfonso could be anywhere and fear that he'll strike again.
I think he can't satisfy his rage. Here's your psychopathic behavior. Did he know what he was doing was wrong? Without a doubt. That's why he fled. He knew he'd be taken into custody. But he could not help it.
The Wheaton Police Department enlists all hands in the manhunt, and additional support is requested from state and national law enforcement.
We called in the DuPage County Major Crimes Task Force, the Illinois State Police, the FBI, and we just poured a ton of detectives from the area into this case.
With the help of the FBI's vast resources, investigators interviewed dozens of people associated with Michael Alfonso, including his mother and sister. 2,000 miles away, Alfonso is beginning to miss his family, and he's in need of cash. He knows that calling home is risky, but on June 26, 2001, he takes the chance and calls anyway.
Hey, sis.
I asked her to wire me money, but she said no because she could get in trouble, you know, and I understood. I didn't want to get my sister in trouble or anything.
You know, I don't think I can. I think the cops are watching.
In fact, just by calling his sister, Alfonso has put her at risk of being an accomplice. She knows this and immediately contacts police with important news.
And she told us that she received a collect phone call from her brother, and Michael told her that he was in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. We developed a team of Mexican police officers, Mexican FBI and the United States FBI, and they were on Puerto Vallarta in the area where he was calling from.
The FBI traces Alfonso's call. It leads them to the restaurant he's working at. The FBI and Mexican authorities arrive in Puerto Vallarta. They stake out his restaurant. And surround it. Investigators have finally caught up with Michael Alfonso.
We are over. We are over.
You gonna listen to me now?
By the summer of 2001, it's been 9 years since Michael Alfonso murdered his girlfriend, Sumanir Yang. It's been a month since he murdered Genoveva Velasquez. FBI agents and Mexican authorities track him down in Puerto Vallarta. FBI agents coordinate with Mexican police and charge in.
I think he saw something and he took off running because he's skilled at that.
They scour the bar. After a thorough search, they realize that Alfonso is nowhere to be found.
They went to make an arrest. He was not there, and they believe that they had just missed him.
Authorities are frustrated at being moments too late.
He knows how to evade capture. I think he smells when there's a problem.
He's on the loose. He's dangerous, and he's determined not to get caught. After narrowly escaping the FBI in Puerto Vallarta, Alfonso flees deeper into Mexico, taking a bus 250 miles east to Guadalajara. He arrives broke and disoriented.
I was walking around deciding where I was going to go and stuff, because I'd never been there before or anything like that.
Alfonso is in Mexico illegally and is traveling without a passport or ID. He looks every bit the wayward transient when he's stopped by Mexican immigration officers.
You have my identification on you?
No.
Where you from? Cuba.
And then all of a sudden the immigration came, and the immigration asked me for identification.
Having just escaped the FBI, he now faces a new threat.
I told them that I don't have any identification. They asked where I was from, so I told them, yeah, I was Cubano, and I came here from Cuba, you know what I mean? And they told me, okay, well, you come with us.
Mexican authorities arrest Alfonso and transfer him to the immigration center. Officials there continue to press him about his identity. He only gives them an alias, Adolfo Ruiz.
They kept asking me, is there any way that we can find out who you are? And, I wasn't going to tell them.
Most of the detainees Alfonso meets are from Central and South America. Alfonso isn't the only American fugitive being held by Mexican immigration.
Every single American that was in there was a fugitive. There were guys down there in the immigration camp from the United States who were on America's Most Wanted, who I recognized and stuff, but who never got caught.
Michael Alfonso is finally locked up. But Mexican authorities have no idea that he's wanted for murder back in the United States. Every day he's held there brings a greater chance of his true identity being discovered. Or worse.
And they told us, if you try to escape, we're going to shoot you.
His true identity is never revealed, and after 9 long months, he is finally released.
He felt that he was going to be taken back to the United States at any time. And when they let him go, he was elated. He couldn't believe it.
I was free, you know. I kind of thought that, that they would be on my trail and stuff.
Alfonso decides that Mexico is no longer safe for him. He must leave or risk being caught again.
As soon as they released me, I went to Guatemala. You know, I didn't just stay in Mexico. I went to Guatemala.
Alfonso befriends one of the other released detainees, Orlando Brava. Together, they head south.
We had no money or anything. We were just going, we went to the bus, we got in, we begged for enough to get to the next stop. Each stop we would get off and beg more money and to get to the next stop until we finally got to the border.
Alfonso and Orlando come to the border between Mexico and Guatemala. They are traveling without passports and can't just walk through legally. Somehow, they must figure out a way to get across by other means.
And we paid 5 pesos to cross a river. And the river is the one that the same immigrants cross from Guatemala into Mexico. But we were going the reverse way. We were going into Guatemala and stuff, which was kind of worse off.
Migrants heading north question why the two would be heading into Guatemala, where it's more dangerous. Undaunted, they continue on. By the time they finally reach Guatemala City, Orlando is starting to act strangely.
Upon getting off the bus in Guatemala City, my friend Orlando, he snapped. He just started snapping and stuff.
The fear, paranoia, and stress of living on the run are too much for Orlando.
So I just told him, you know what, it's better if you go your way and I go my way, because you're kind of unstable. You're going to draw attention to me, and the police are going to come, you know what I mean? And they're going to lock us up in this country for not having papers, you know what I mean? And so he went his own way, and then I went my own way.
We're done, me and you, man.
Alfonso is on his own again as he travels 400 miles to Livingston, Guatemala. He's hoping to lay low in this small coastal town.
I got there and I had no place to stay, so I was walking along the beach asking for food. You know, I had absolutely nothing to eat and stuff.
He's hungry and getting desperate. The town is not what he had expected.
It was kind of dangerous down there because tourists were getting killed and stuff. There was a lot of violence in that town.
Alfonso lands a job working security at a hotel. With a little money in his pocket, he starts doing drugs.
Every morning that I would get paid, I would go buy weed, you know what I mean? And I was smoking every single day to the point where I wasn't even functioning right, you know what I mean? Where I wouldn't even eat.
It doesn't take long before Alfonso's boss catches him doing drugs on the job. He fires Alfonso on the spot.
I was so hot-headed because he told me, you know, you're out of here. You're kicked out of here. At that point, I was this close to going in and stabbing him. I was this close to going in to killing him.
Alfonso conceives of a plan to kill his boss and take the money he knows is kept in the office.
I was like, no, I can't do that, because if I get locked up in Guatemala, these jails are horrific, and I'll be stuck down here for years, you know what I mean?
This time, reason prevails over rage. After spending a month in Guatemala, he's had enough and continues on. He travels through the thick jungles of the Yucatan Peninsula. until he reaches the Belize border.
So I crossed over and I was running into Belize, and the immigration were right there. And he goes, "Hey, where'd you just come from? You just came out of the woods, didn't you?"
What are you doing out there?
Why are you in the bushes?
Just looking around. Just looking around.
Alfonso has been locked up by immigration once before. It looks like he's getting caught again. It's been a year since Michael Alfonso murdered Genoveva Velasquez. He's been living as a fugitive in the jungles of Central America. In the winter of 2002, he crosses into Belize and emerges from the jungle. An immigration agent stops him to investigate.
What are you doing out there?
Just vacation.
Vacationing in the bushes?
Yeah. I stay in Belize.
Belize?
Yeah.
¿Cómo se llama?
I'm American. I'm American.
Americano?
Yeah.
I said, "No, I said, I'm American." I said, I lost my passport and I lost all my identification. Someone robbed me and stuff. He goes, are you sure you're not sneaking over here? I said, "No, I'm American. I wouldn't be able to speak English." You know what I mean?
The moment it takes for the immigration officer to decide seems like a lifetime to Alfonso.
And he was like, "Oh, okay, I'm going to give you a break now. You know, I'm not going to take you in." So he didn't take me in. You know what I mean?
Alfonso is free to go. As he runs deeper into Central America, he gets further from investigators back in Wheaton, Illinois. And they're beginning to lose track of him.
Michael Alfonso was a danger to society. He proved it time and time again. Through his sexual assaults of women, stabbing women, raping them, killing them. He's a serial killer, and there was no doubt in my mind he would kill again.
With this in mind, investigators double their efforts.
There was a team effort on the part of local, state, and federal law enforcement officials. It even came to the point where we were getting the Velasquez family helping us.
Working with their relatives in Mexico, the Velasquez family hopes that by posting flyers and flooding the media, someone will recognize Alfonso.
I remember going to Mexico to visit my uncle, and, we were talking about everything, things that we can do, people that he can talk to, so the word can get around.
Their efforts pay off as dozens of tips are reported. The FBI follows up and closes in.
And each time we would get an agent of the FBI in Mexico to go after one of these tips, and we got on it right away, but we were always about 6 months behind him.
As investigators continue their search, Alfonso arrives in another popular tourist destination.
I landed in Cancun, and the thing is, they warn you about when you go to Cancun that there's a lot of immigration and stuff in Cancun and stuff, so you got to be careful and stuff.
Alfonso gets a job as a bouncer at a strip club. They give him a place to stay and a much-needed paycheck. There's one big problem. The club is swarming with Americans.
A lot of Americans would come in the strip club, and there's this one guy who came in there who recognized me from America's Most Wanted. And he told me, I seen you on America's Most Wanted. He told me that. I said, "No, you must be mistaken. You haven't seen me." He goes, "What's your name?" I gave him a fake name and stuff.
Alfonso fears being recognized. It only takes one phone call, and his days of freedom are over.
He's like, "No, I know I saw you." As soon as he said that, that was my last night there. I left.
Alfonso doesn't take any chances. He leaves Cancun and continues north along the coast. By the winter of 2002, Michael Alfonso has been on the run for over a year. He's traveled thousands of miles throughout Mexico and Central America. He's worn out, and he's struggling to survive.
I was just like basically begging, you know what I'm saying? Begging, and because my ultimate destination was to get to Veracruz, Mexico, you know what I mean? And so I was like thinking, you know, I didn't know if I was gonna make it or not.
He was living in squalor. He had no money. He had no resources. He had no one to turn back onto. He had to scratch out a way to survive.
When Alfonso finally arrives in Veracruz, he's tired, hungry, and broke.
I told myself, either I make it here or I don't, you know what I mean? I said, there's not gonna be any packing up and going anyplace else or nothing. This is where I'm gonna stay.
Veracruz is a historic port city, and Alfonso hopes to blend in with its large population of African descendants. Starting in a new town has become routine for Alfonso, and it doesn't take long for Alfonso to find a job, a place to stay, and a girlfriend.
I met a girlfriend down there. She was a nurse. Her name was Edith. And what happened with her is we started to date and stuff and go out and stuff.
Edith has no idea about Alfonso's violent past. No idea that he's currently wanted for murder. Alfonso settles into his new life. He begins to feel that he might have gotten away with murder for the second time.
But by this time, I started to feel real comfortable. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like someone was looking for me. So I really let my guard down a lot. And I mean, I started going out to drink every Friday night, every Saturday night with them, going to the strip club.
As Alfonso begins to let his guard down, the FBI is turning up the heat. January 2003, they place Michael Alfonso on the list of 10 most wanted fugitives. He's listed at 5'10", 180 pounds, with Blanca tattooed on his back.
I believe Michael Alfonso would be capable of killing again, easily. And that's one of the reasons why he was put on the top 10 of his propensity for murder.
The listing allows investigators to put greater resources into the case. It also creates more media attention and leads to appearances on 3 popular television crime shows.
We're tracking him, we're following him. And although it's frustrating that we're always about 6 months behind him, we know where he's at, we know where he's going. So we felt that if we just keep doing what we're doing, we're going to hit it.
In this case, it wasn't a whodunit. It was a where is he? And I knew it was just a matter of time before his luck would run out.
On June 14, 2004, a man walks into the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City and tells the FBI that he's seen Alfonso's case profiled on television. He tells them that he knows Michael Alfonso. He knows where he works, and he knows where he lives.
You're not going to believe this. I got a great lead on Alfonso. Yeah.
FBI agents and Mexican authorities act quickly and descend on Veracruz the next day. They patrol Alfonso's neighborhood and spot him as he enters a barber shop. After 3 years of eluding justice, law enforcement finally have Alfonso in their grasp. They coordinate their positions and move in. Michael Alfonso has eluded justice for over 12 years. When on June 14, 2004, the FBI receives a tip on his whereabouts and moves in. The FBI is determined not to let him slip away. Despite the activity going on outside, Everything appears normal inside the barber shop.
He did like half of my hair, and then I see these guys come in.
Agents enter the barber shop, knowing that Alfonso will do anything to avoid capture.
What? Now I'm there. Where you from? Cuba.
I'm thinking they got me. They got me, you know what I mean? The donde eres, where are you from? They asking me why, they asking me where I'm from.
¿Tú eres americano, güey? Cuba. I'm from Cuba. You're American.
I said, I'm from Cuba. And he said, no, tú eres americano, güey. He said, you're American, you know what I mean?
They check for a distinguishing tattoo on Alfonso's back to confirm his identity.
And then when he pulled back my shirt and looked at my tattoo, I knew it was them. Then I knew it was them. I was like, yeah, this got me.
The FBI finally have their man.
Vámonos. Let's go.
And there's no way they're letting him escape this time.
And then that's when they cuffed me up, and from that day on, I've never seen freedom.
Alfonso's life as a violent criminal and fugitive comes to an end. Mexican authorities deport Michael Alfonso back to the United States. On July 27, 2005, Detective David Zidane escorts Alfonso back to the police department in Wheaton, Illinois. The police have spent years collecting evidence and building a case against Alfonso.
Now comes the really tough part. And it certainly wasn't over, because now you have to prosecute him.
Everyone expects a lengthy court battle, but on July 11, 2007, Michael Alfonso avoids a possible death sentence by pleading guilty to all charges.
When he was convicted, I'm in the jury box watching this, and I don't think anybody saw. I just went, finally, convicted of 3 counts of murder for the death of Hanno, for the death of Su Yang, and the death of Su Yang's baby.
Family members of the victims give statements during the hearing.
I knew from the beginning that Michael Alfonso had killed my daughter. He is an evil person. Alfonso didn't just take my mom. He took my happiness away.
There really wasn't a dry eye in the room, including, the grizzled police detectives and prosecutors who had seen everything.
As part of the plea deal, Alfonso agrees to record a full confession to police.
I thought that if she didn't want to be with me, then she wasn't going to be with anybody.
What were you thinking?
I was just thinking that I'm going to get her. I shot it till the gun quit.
It's a chilling account of violence by a man without empathy.
There is a cautionary tale in there, because I'm sure there's many people out there like Michael Alfonso, and they don't look like the big bad wolf, but you never know what they're capable of.
I mean, besides the ones that I killed, there are other ones who I've done horrific things to, all because I'm jealous and controlling, you know what I'm saying? I'm not heartless, you know what I mean? I have a heart, you know what I mean? It's just that I just snapped a few times in my life.
Hey! Murdering women, stabbing them, shooting them, controlling them. That's not a decent guy. He's a brother, he's a son, and he's a killer. And there's no question about that.
Michael Alfonso is now locked up in the Menard Correctional Facility in southern Illinois. He'll spend the rest of his life there with no possibility of parole.